We go to Kurt in Jamesville, Wisconsin, listening on EWTN radio on the internet. Kurt, your question for Carlo.
My question for Carlo is that I've talked to people and they seem to confuse redemption and salvation. They say that Jesus did it once and that's it, and we're all saved. We're all saved if we believe. We're all saved if we do certain things.
Right.
So where did that confusion come from?
Okay. Very good question. Yeah, so there seems to be this interchanging use of the terms of redemption and salvation. For example, you mentioned the idea of once saved. It seems as if you were getting to the question of once saved, always saved, right? And this, unfortunately, is an idea that is not found in the Bible. It contradicts what we believe as Catholics, but it's actually contradictory to the Bible itself. The idea that once you enter into a relationship with God, there is nothing that you can do to affect that relationship or your standing with God. And where it comes from is the Protestant Reformation, which was started by Martin Luther. But what we see clearly in the Bible, Kurt, is that it is possible to lose the grace of salvation, that once we enter into relationship with Jesus Christ, by grace, by grace, moving us to faith, we enter into relationship with Jesus Christ, it is possible to lose that gift of salvation. I mean, even Paul himself, for example, in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27, would write that I pummel my body lest I become a dokimos in Greek, which is a reprobate, a castaway. He puts himself through deeds, acts of mortification and penance, lest he be separated from Jesus Christ and cut off from the life flow of God, namely grace. So even Paul himself understood that it was possible for him to lose the gift of salvation and that he would have to, as he says in Philippians 2:12, work out his salvation with fear and trembling to preserve that relationship with God. So this idea of once saved, always saved, it's a novel idea in Christian history that arises out of the Protestant Reformation, but it is not found in the Bible. Now, concerning redemption and salvation, did you have a question concerning those two terms and if they're interchangeable or not?
Yes, are they interchangeable? Because I've talked to people and I've told them, I think you've confused the two.
Okay.
They're not the same. Everybody's redeemed.
Right.
But not everybody's saved.
You know, this is a very important point, Kurt, and you hit the nail on the head. In our Catholic tradition, by the way, Frank Sheed, in his book, Theology and Sanity, as well as the smaller version, Theology for Beginners, makes this point beautifully. When we talk about redemption, we're talking about that objective dimension of redemption or salvation. You can sort of use those terms interchangeably, but technically redemption refers to the gift that Jesus won on the cross, whereby which he unites the human race back to God. So he opens up the gates of heaven back to the human race, which was the human race fell out of relationship with God due to the original sin of Adam and Eve. So through Jesus' death on the cross, he takes away the sin, singular, of the world, as we read in John 1:29. But that grace of salvation has to be applied to us individually on a subjective level. And whenever that grace is applied to us, for example, initially in the sacrament of baptism, according to 1 Peter 3:21, it is then that we say that individual is saved. So when I say I was saved on February 14th, 1982, that means the grace of salvation was applied to me subjectively in my soul through the sacrament of baptism. Now, when I say I have been redeemed, sometimes people will use that term interchangeably with salvation, applying to the subjective dimension, right? The grace of Jesus has been applied to me. But in our Catholic tradition, when we say we've been redeemed, that refers to the fact that the entire human race was bought back by the price of the blood of Jesus Christ and reunited back to God the Father.
Thanks, Kurt.